Okay, good morning everyone, or good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started. What you need today is you're going to need a color or highlighter and your math journals. So let's get started. Today we are doing chapter 7, lesson 6. And everything I write, you need to write in your math journal. Everything I write, you write it. Are you writing? Okay, let's get started, please. So today's lesson is called Solve One-Step Inequalities. Okay, so our objective today is to solve one-step inequalities and represent the solution on a number line. And the reason why I'm videotaping this is because I didn't want to get behind, and because tomorrow we are going to take a quiz on this. So please pay close attention. Okay, so the first thing is you need to remember what an inequality is. So I'm going to switch over real quick. If you take a look at this paper, here it talks about very quickly what an inequality is. And if you're not sure if you're going to remember this, this is on page 505 in your book. Okay, so an inequality is a mathematical sentence that compares quantities using the less than symbol, greater than, less than or equal to, or the greater than or equal to symbol. Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and start with our first example. So please go ahead and skip a line and you're going to write down number 1. And on number 1, we're going to solve the inequality represent the solution set on the number line provided. Okay, so our inequality states a plus 1/2 is less than 2. So please write that down. So a plus 1/2 is less than 2. Okay, so the first thing is to solve this, you want to solve it like we did with the equation. So we're going to draw the river. Okay, and of course on one side 2 is happy because it's by itself. But over here we have a party. And of course, who's going to get kicked out first? The 1/2. So we have to do the inverse of addition. The inverse of addition is to subtract. So we're going to go ahead and subtract both sides with 1/2. So 1/2 is gone. It went to the other side. And now by itself on the left is your variable a. Bring down your inequality symbol, which is less than. And here you're going to have to subtract. Now remember the rules. Same sign you're going to add, but different signs you're going to subtract. So in this case, would we add or subtract? We have positive 2 minus 1/2. So we're going to go ahead and subtract. Now you can think of this as a whole number. So if you need to, you can draw 2 wholes. And then you're just going to take away 1/2. So when you take away 1/2, what do you have left over? A positive 1 and 1/2. So your solution is a is less than 1 and 1/2. Now, you're going to have to also draw this on your number line. Okay, so what you're going to do is on your number line, you will have 0, 1, 2, 3. And you need to find out exactly where would 1 and 1/2 go. So 1 and 1/2 would go in between the 1 and 2. And then the next question is your solution equal to 1 and 1/2? So remember when it used to be equal, what we would do is we would find our number line and we would circle and color in the circle. But this time it's not equal. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw a circle in its spot, but since it's not equal, you're going to leave the circle open. Do not color it. The only time you color it is when they are equal, okay? So when it's equal, you color it, but when it's an inequality, you leave the circle open. Okay, now, all the numbers that could be the answer have to be less than 1 and 1/2. So which way on the number line would be less than 1/2? Would I be talking about the right side of it or the left side? So whichever side you're talking about all the numbers that fit this statement to make it true, we're going to get a color or highlighter and we're going to actually color that side of the inequality, of that number line. So we have an unknown value that's less than 1 and 1/2. So everything to the left is going to be considered a solution. So all of this here with your color, you're going to highlight or color. That means all of these could fit into this answer to make it a true statement. For example, if I were to plug in a 0 where the letter A is 0 less than 1 and 1/2? If it's a true statement, then it's colored because it could be a true statement. Okay, so that was number 1. We're going to go ahead and move on to number 2. Number 2. We're going to do the same thing. You have -6 is greater than or equal to n minus 5. What we're going to do is we're going to solve the inequality and then we're going to represent the solution set on a number line. So we're going to go ahead and draw a little river. And on one side you have -6, so he's happy because he's by himself. But on this side, who's going to be leaving? That -5 or subtracting 5. So you're going to do the opposite or the inverse of subtraction, which is addition. So you're going to add 5 to both sides. So 5 left, you have n by itself. You're going to bring down your inequality symbol exactly the way it looks. And then you're going to do your rules. Same sign you add, different signs you subtract. So here we have a -6 and a +5. So are we going to add or subtract? We have to subtract. Keep the sign of the bigger number, which means the number that is farther away from 0. So you have -1. So your solution here is -1 is greater than or equal to n. So now on our number line, here you have 0, and then you would have 1, 2, and then this way you would have -1, -2, and so forth. So where would -1 go? Where it's right here. Now you have your inequality as greater than or equal to. Well, remember when it was equal to, for example, A equals 1 and 1/2, we said to color the circle in. Since you have an equal sign here, you're also going to color in the circle. Since your solution is -1, you're going to go ahead and color in your circle. And then you have to figure out which way you're going to color the number line. Are you going to color to the left, to the right, or to the left? So you read your statement. -1 is greater than or equal to n. So your answers have to be what compared to -1? Are your answers going to be smaller than -1, or your answers are going to be bigger than -1? So your answer is going to be that they are smaller than -1. So you're actually going to color all of these this way. And to double check your work, you pick any of these numbers, plug it in, and see if it's a true statement. For example, if I chose -2, you would say, is -1 greater than or equal to -2? If it's a true statement, then you're on the right track. Okay. All right, so let's go on to number 3. And I'm going fast because we need to finish. Number 3. Okay, so now we have the inequality that says -2g is less than 10. Okay, so how do we solve this one? Well, on one side you have 10 by itself, so it's happy. But on the other side, you need to separate the two. So originally this means -2 times g. So what's the inverse of multiplication? Division. So you're going to divide both sides by this inequality. Now remember I told you that the negative has to go with the 2 because it's like its suitcase, right? So you're going to make the -2 follow, the negative follow the 2. So you're dividing by a -2, so the -2 leaves and you have g by itself. However, there is a very special rule here, okay? And that special rule is whenever you divide by a negative, your inequality symbol is going to flip. So the greater than or the less than will flip. So in this case it says less than, and since we divided by a negative, it's not going to be less than anymore, you're going to flip it. So it is now going to be greater than. And then we can do our division over here. 10 divided by -2 is -5. So here's our solution. Okay? Now on the number line, you're going to have your number line here. And you can put -5, your solution, in the middle. And then you make sure that everything else is labeled correctly. So right next to it on this side would be -4, -3, -2, and of course over here, -6, -7. Now the question is, when you put your circle, are you going to color it or leave it open? So the rule is you only color it if it's equal to. So is it equal to here? Since it's just an inequality that says greater than, you're going to leave it open. And then you ask yourself, which way am I going to color? Well, your solution, your answers have to be bigger than -5. So which side is going to show you that it's bigger? Everything on this side. And here's a little trick. You see how this shape is? Do you see how it's pointing to the right? Look at these arrows, how it's pointing the same way. That's how you know which way to color. And that only works when your variable is on the left side. Okay. Let's do one more. Number 4. Your inequality is x over 3 is greater than or equal to -4. Okay, so here you have a variable divided by 3 is greater than or equal to -4. So you want to get the variable by itself because when you do the river, -4 is happy, but on this side, you need to separate the two. So originally, x is divided by 3. What's the inverse of division? Multiplication. So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply both sides by 3 whole. And this side by 3. And when you multiply both sides by 3, you end up canceling here and you leave it as x. And you leave your inequality the same, and now you're going to do -4 times 3, which gives you -12. So your solution is x is greater than or equal to -12. Let's go ahead and put this on the number line. Let's put -12 in the middle. Then you have -11, -10, -9. negative 13 over here, negative 14. Now, is your circle going to be an open or closed circle? It's equal to it, so do I color it or do I leave it open? Since it's equal, you have to color it. And then here's the next question. Do I color to the left side of the number line, or do I color to the right side, or do I color to the left side? So you're going to pick a solution that has to be bigger than or equal to negative 12. So which way am I going to color? Look at the way it's pointing. It's pointing this way. So you're going to color all of these this way. And that's your solution. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and start on your assignment. Your assignment looks like this for today. You need to do everything, so go ahead and start doing that. I even provided you the number lines for you to start. Okay, this is due tomorrow when I come back, and I'll see you guys then. Thank you.